Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Devin, and today's video is about how to propagate succulents. So I want to share the basics with you, and as I show you, I want to share a bit of my story about my journey with succulents. I am moving in a few weeks, and in that I am spending a bit of time really rearranging and cleaning up and selling and that kind of thing, the succulents that I have at this place. I've been staying at my friend's beach house for the winter, and during my time here I basically got succulent obsessed. It was such a healing process for me. I've loved succulents for years, but it was the first time, like while I was moving here, that I really discovered how to propagate succulents, which really has just been such a joy in my life, and I'm really excited to share it with you because yeah, it's just, succulents are definitely my favorite plant, and I have a lot here to show you. And in this video, I'm gonna break it down really simply, and then while I show you how to do it, I'll just share some stories and things like that. Yeah, so there's two basic ways to propagate succulents, and that's what I'm going to show you today. And I also want you to keep in mind that succulents are like the most amazing, resilient little alien plants that I have ever experienced in my life. I have so many cool stories of things that have happened with these plants that are just feel like miracles. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is to say that if you're new at this, or you're just experimenting, don't be too hard on yourself. You know, there's definitely guidelines, but anything is possible with these little babies, okay? So there's two basic ways to do it. And basically so one of the reasons I wanted to do this now is because these two plants are like a perfect example on like how to show you quite easily how to propagate succulents. And the two different ways that I'm going to show you are both leaf propagation, and propagation meaning making more babies, so making more plants out of the plants that you already have. So first of all, there's a way to remove leaves and then propagate them. I'm going to show you the trays that I have here in a second. And then also when you're trimming a succulent, so these two are both great examples because they're both elongated, meaning they've stretched out a lot and they're reaching for the sun. So when you trim it, kind of like giving it a haircut, right? They grow back, and I'm going to share that process with you a little bit, but they'll also grow back on the stems. And I have a couple little examples from other plants that I have that I can show you how that works. So I thought these were perfect examples to show you. In my succulent obsession, my mom was out in California. She was working on contract, and she had a couple of her friends trim succulents from their gardens and ship them to me for Christmas, which was really exciting. So this was an arrangement I put together really quickly just to root them. So this was the arrangement, and they've gotten pretty long. I'm going to replant this. This was just kind of put them together to give them roots and let them really kind of sit in. And they've grown even longer than they were from when I got them, so they're great examples. So I want to show you. So you don't need any kind of like this specific material to propagate. It's pretty simple. So when I pull up the leaves, I'm just gonna put them in a little tray and tell you about the process, but I want to show you the three trays that I have now. So the two big trays are all from succulents that I have. So as I'm cleaning up or doing different arrangements or taking care of the plants, sometimes leaves naturally fall off, and that's actually how I found out about propagation. And other times you can pull them off and do it intentionally. So the two big trays are plants, ones that I have myself, and then I have another tray I actually bought cuttings from a place in California. And why they're so amazing is that they were stuck in the mail for a month in the dark, cold, and they still survived. So this is why I'm trying to say, like, you don't need to worry about cutting this right, just enjoy the process. And I hope that this video gives you enough to get started, or hopefully adds some more to your experience if you're already doing this. So I'm going to show you my trays real quick, and I'll tell you how I found out about propagation. It was like a total accident. I loved succulents for years, but I didn't know that you could do this. And once I figured it out, it was like this grand experiment. And now I have like, I don't even know, but I got a lot of babies, and I love them dearly. So I have two like professional propagation trays I got from Amazon. but you don't need that if you want to propagate. All you need is like a little bit of dirt, and you can put in anything. You put in a bowl and a plate. I've done it all. This is actually a kitchen tray that I had from like an old apartment, and I put it in. You don't actually need holes for propagation. I mean, these trays have holes, but you don't like need them because the care is pretty easy, and I'll share that with you as well. So this is my little tray. And then, so this was the first one. Originally, when I first started this, they weren't in this tray. I transferred them. I just put them in this little tray that you put like under a pot, and they were fine. And then I just had more, and I needed a bigger one, and I really wanted to get into this stuff. So most of these are from the same plant, and this is how I began propagation with all these babies in the middle. Which are mostly the same plant, but there's lots of different kinds here, as you can see. Now this is about 2 to 3 months old now, and then this other tray is about 1 to 2 months old, and each plant is going to grow like completely differently. Some are going to grow really quick and really fast. Some take a long time. So some have been on here for like 2-3 months, and they're still like sprouting. So each one has like a totally different chemistry, also seasonal things like that. So just be patient with this. These babies grow really fast, and I'm going to show you these babies that I already propagated, because when I got it from California, some of them already came off, and then also just to plant it, like I took a few off, and they're huge. So I'm going to show you those before we get started. So this is the second tray. It's a little bit messy. Also, some die, so that's just a natural part of the process from a lot of different plants. These are all mine too. So you can see that some are bigger than others, and some of them have already died. So I cleaned up this tray. So don't be like disheartened if it dies in the process, because that's just part of it. So for example, like this baby, I've had like a ton of these. All of them died, except this one. So those are the roots. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to show you, I guess they're only like a month old or something like that. So they grow really fast and really big, and I'm really excited about it because they're so beautiful. Check out these little babies. Like, look how amazing these are. Like, I'm obsessed. Like, it just makes me so happy. Like, sometimes I'll wake up and just like hang out with them and just watch their process. But this is the plant that we're gonna do today. I'll show you. And they're just like a month old. And isn't that amazing how it will grow from a leaf? Okay, so before I get started, I just want to share like how I found this out. So I had a plant, and I was away. I was in Bali for 8 months. So my family was nice enough to take care of some of my succulents. Obviously, they didn't like trim them and do all the, you know, fancy succulent stuff, but just watered them and stuff. And I had this plant, which is mostly this tray, and it was really beautiful. It grew out and really long and like around the planter, and in it, like a couple leaves fell off into the pot, and then I did nothing. I didn't even notice it. And when I looked back to water it, there were 2 babies, new plants growing from the leaves that dropped. And my mom was like, you know, you can propagate these, right? Like, this is how you do it. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I didn't even realize you could do that. So then I started looking more into it, and I realized I could save the leaves, because often when I was doing things, leaves would fall off, or they'd fall off, you know, naturally, or when I was moving them around. So then I began to look more into it and then do it intentionally. So this plant was elongated, meaning it stretched out way beyond. So it was recommended from a lady that I met, who told me, yeah, you just got to clip it off and replant it, and then you can use all of them. So I had a ton of leaves. Like, I had a whole like pile of them, and I was like, this is a great way to like intentionally start and create a design and things like that. So if you have a plant that's like really stretched out, you can trim it. I'm going to show you here. You can trim it, and then you can repot it. You're not hurting the plants at all. It's just like kind of taking care of them, giving them a haircut, you know, giving them like a better chance. And then also it creates more plants and more babies. So this is the tray with that, and they're all completely unique. Like, they're all completely different, and they grew really fast. So anyway, I hope you're staying with me here. I have a lot to share about succulents. They make me really happy. So that's how I found out about propagation. And then anytime I was doing it, I would save the leaves and just start to experiment, which has been really fun. Now, another way to do it, I'm going to show you the leaf process in a second, but another way to do it is when you do trim, you can actually leave the root in here, which I'll show you, and then new plants will begin to grow on that. So sometimes this will happen naturally, like before you trim a plant, you might notice that there's babies kind of popping out of the stem. I gave my brother a succulent arrangement for Christmas, and a lot of the leaves naturally fell off, and then when I went back to visit, like there were babies already growing back naturally. So sometimes you don't really have to do anything to propagate them, but this was an example that just happened naturally. So I had cut it and put it in another thing, and then but all these babies were already growing. So look at all these new plants that are growing from the one, right? And then this one I intentionally cut because it was getting really long, and some of the leaves on here are the babies of it. So I'll show you a baby of it. Okay, while I show you this. So this, and I just left it. It actually just grew back naturally, and I repotted it in this little like cool wine glass. But check out how it's growing on the stem. Can you see that? See how they're already just naturally growing? And then this was a leaf that's also been growing as well. So see how beautiful that is? Like, and how many more plants are just such little luscious babies. I love them so much. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. And I also have some like handy dandy clippers. My mom sent me this for Christmas. You can get it on Amazon. It's just like a little succulent toolkit. It's actually very helpful, but you don't need that for this. You know, you don't need to buy anything to do this. When I first started with succulents, I just used silverware on my fingers and just did everything intuitively until I started to learn more, and then I got excited to like experiment and watch the process. So, succulate, words are hard. Okay, so propagating succulents with the leaves is a pretty simple process. But there's also, you know, a part of it that's important. So when you take off a leaf, for example, you don't want to take off any of the new ones, obviously. You want to take off like more mature leaves. And I'll take off like one to show you, and then I'm going to trim it. But there's a way to do it. You want to take it off kind of gently so that you don't rip it, because you want there to be like a clean cut from it. So for example, can you see this? I'm just gonna wiggle this one, and you know, you might mess it up, that's fine, but just try it out. Kind of like wiggle it off or go side to side, and you just want to make sure that it's kind of like a clean pull, and I'm gonna show it to you. Okay, so this one's a clean one. I hope. Maybe not, maybe I messed it up, but we have a few to look at. So what I'm gonna do, so when you take off the leaves, you can put them right in dirt, like you're not gonna kill them or anything like that. But usually you just like let them sit and dry out and heal. So basically the wound from the split is going to heal over. And then when you put them, then after a couple days of just letting them dry out and heal over, you can just place them any way you want in a little bit of dirt. And I'll also recommend what kind of soil to get for succulents. And then eventually they will begin to create roots, a root system, and then you'll see it sprout. So it's pretty easy. And I'm gonna leave them in this really cool like seashell thing and just let them sit. I also wanna say though that, so for example, when I got this shipment from California, I went to go visit family and for like a week or so. And when we were leaving, I took some succulents with me to make sure I could care for them. But there was also some that I pulled off in the process and just sat, and they were left here, and I like didn't even realize they were here. And then guess what? No anything, no water, no dirt, and they're already naturally growing. So miracles happen with these babies. Like I've just found them growing. So, but this is kind of an intentional, kind of more systematic way to do it, to have fun with it. But I'm just saying that you don't need to worry about them too much. And I'll also share how to care with them for water, because it's different than like a full plant. So anyway, I might have messed that one up, but see, it's okay. All right, so I'm gonna pull off maybe one of these guys. Yeah. I like to twist them. I've heard don't twist them, but like that's the way that I've gotten them off the best. You just do it really slowly. Okay, that's perfect. So there is a little bit of like a thing right there, but it's fine because it was a clean, it's clean, okay? So, can you see that? Okay, so it's off, and that's like a perfect one. So, and this is also the, so for example, after this dries out for a few days, it becomes this. So the roots will begin to, you can see the roots will begin first, and then the baby will pop out. So this is what it will become. And once you do that, the leaves will naturally kind of dry out. You can pull them off and just leave them, or you can just, I kind of just leave them because I have kind of, I don't know, I haven't wanted to mess it up too quickly, but like this is an example of how the leaf will dry off. So basically the baby, it's growing all from the nutrients from the leaf. So for example, this is one that's dried out already. I'm just gonna leave it for now. I've pulled some of them off, but I'm just gonna experiment and see because each plant is totally different. And then the care with these plants is to use typically just like a spray bottle, and you can mist it, spray them, give them like a little bit of a soak, but not drench them, like pour a bunch of water on them, because the funny thing about succulents and why I love them so much is that they're drought resistant. So basically the easiest way to kill succulents is to overwater it. So it's better to kind of leave them alone. Now, so I usually like, it depends, sometimes every day I'll mist them, every other day, every couple days. I have been away from them for like a week or so, and they're still okay, you know, but each one's is gonna be totally different. So in this example, I also wanna share how to cut it, because the same process that the leaf goes through to heal over the wound. So this is why I love succulents, is like, you know, you pull a part off, and once it heals, it's gonna grow into something more beautiful, something new. And I feel like there's so much symbolism, you know, in my life as I've really gone into this love for these plants and really spent time with them. There's just so much beauty in like what they teach as well. So once it heals over, it's starts a whole new life. And it's the same thing with the cutting. So that's why you don't need to worry about hurting them. Okay, so with this one, I think I'm gonna trim it like, I think you can see this, yeah. I think I'm gonna trim it like right here. Give it enough room. Or maybe right here. Yeah, I'm gonna do it right here. So I'm gonna clip this baby off. So the same way that this heals over, this guy's gonna heal over. So gonna just leave it. I have, like in the past, before I knew much about succulents, I just did everything intuitively, and I had some mistakes, you know, but and I have just put them right in dirt before, and they've lived and no big deal, but it's better to just let them kind of heal over. Once they heal over, then you can once they callus over, just a couple days usually. You can even leave them for like a week or two, it's fine. And I've learned that because getting them shipped, they still survive. So, and then what you do is you just replant it, and then usually just don't water it and let it create another root system, because the roots are what take in the nourishment from the plants. So with this guy, I'm gonna take off a few of the, yep, see, that was easy. Put it here so that it has room to plant it. It's a lot easier to take them off when you're kind of holding it. Perfect. And obviously the more, oh, okay, this one might be okay, but it's pulling it a little bit, but it still might work, we'll see. And then, okay, I'm gonna leave this guy for now like this. So this is what I'm gonna let out and dry, and then I can replant that, and it's gonna grow even bigger. And then we have this whole stem. So then with the stem, I'm gonna cut this one off too. And then see, there's some like dried leaves, and that's natural, so just get rid of those. Okay. So then we got this little guy too, and he's getting up there. You know, it's like you're just giving him a new life, and it's already sprouting out little roots. See, it's already doing it. All right, I'm gonna cut it right over that, right over the little things. Oh no. Okay. Because these leaf babies, which I'll show you, are already creating roots. So sometimes they're like ready to go. They're just ready to go. Okay, so this baby is going to be, I'm going to just take off the bottom ones just to give it a little bit of room like in the dirt. And basically, see, these are like newer leaves, so I don't think they propagate as well, but they still will. But the bigger, older ones usually have a lot more juice to do it. Okay, but I'm just gonna save them all. So then this is also gonna dry out and be a whole new plant. So the soil, I usually just get like $5 soil from like Home Depot or Lowe's, and you wanna get the cactus soil. And the reason for that is because it drains the water really easily, so you're not gonna like oversaturate or drown the plants. So in that case, so when you water them, it just drains really quickly. Like also when I spray these, like they'll be dry like pretty quickly afterwards. So it's pretty easy process. But you don't really want to water them like right away. Can you see this? Okay. Now these are also going to propagate as well. So we'll see how that goes. Now like this is a broken leaf, but it will still propagate. I'm going to show you another one because I've just been experimenting this whole time and like reading. So this is only half a leaf. It's like broken already. It's already calloused off. So one would think, oh, this might not make a new baby, but I will show you one. So this one was only half and broken off, and look at that baby. This is a different plant. So you never know with these guys. So I say keep it all and see what happens. Okay. So what I've heard or what I've learned is that if you leave like one leaf on the stem, they'll grow back, but you know, I didn't know that before and it's grown back, so we'll see. Maybe I'll leave one on like one plant, but see the bigger ones at the bottom, these ones are going to propagate like a lot better than the ones at the top because they're older and more mature. Okay. Perfect. These are going to be so beautiful. I'm so excited to see these grow. I was like amazed with how quick these grew. I was like blown away. I was like, these plants are freaking amazing. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I hope this is an easy instructional video. Thanks for joining me, guys. Also, I started an Instagram page just for my succulents. It's called Sacred Succulents. Not succulents, but succulents. I'll put it in the description, and I have like some videos and things like that about the propagation process and a lot of my arrangements and things like that. And I would love to make more videos about this, so let me know in the comments how you're feeling. Okay, we're almost done. So I'm gonna leave this one as just like a bare rooted stem. Oh, maybe I could leave a couple at the top. That might work. It's a little bit more difficult when you have the stem. When you hold it, you have a little bit more like angle. And if you do rip it, okay, so this is like a mistake, okay? I ripped it and it wasn't like, I don't know if you can see that properly. Can you? Anyway, it's just, it ripped a little bit, so that might not callus properly. If you're just in the beginning experimenting with this, I would say just keep them and see what happens. If they dry out and die, just toss them, but you never know. I've been kind of like surprised with ones that actually do survive. But they're also a little bit harder, so the newer leaves at the top are actually harder to pull off than the more mature ones. So these might be good ones to just like leave on there for now. And then so through all these little stems, these little areas that they were pulled off, that's where new babies can grow. So, and then as they get big, you can actually cut them off as well, like you would the top, and then replant them, so which is really cool. Okay, so this guy, okay, I'm just gonna pull it out because this already was a cutting, okay, and I'm gonna show you guys the difference. Put it back in there. So this was a cutting from like a garden outside, and it was cut, but then when I put it in the, you know, just like a week or two, I don't know, it created the root system, and that's how it takes in the water. And with watering succulents, they usually like a hole for drainage. If you can't do that, just don't like overdose it because they might like drown in it. And they like a lot of light. Okay, so these ones are like kind of dying. It's way easier to pull them off when you're holding the plant. See, these ones are kind of like wrinkled and like dying, but I've still seen leaves come from it, so I'm still gonna save them and see what happens. Babies come from it, so I'm still gonna save them and see what comes from it. Okay. Boop. Perfect. All right, let's go. Okay. So like I said before, like the older leaves are way easier to take off. Also, succulents really love to be groomed, I feel like. Like, what I love about them is they're just so easy maintenance. Like they're neglect tolerant plants. So you could like leave a succulent for a month and it would probably survive. If you overdo it, like if you constantly are watering it, constantly everything, then they're like, nope, leave me alone, you know? So they're drought tolerant. Okay, so this is what's amazing about this, is that this leaf right here already has a root growing. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but there is little roots growing out of it. So when I pull it off, I'm gonna see what that's like, and it might have the roots attached to it, but it's trying to grow a baby, or it's trying to get some nourishment. But oh my God, there's already little, God, this is like the perfect plan to show you guys. Okay, so it came off, but you can see the other places I've pulled off already have like roots coming out, meaning in these little areas down here, they're probably gonna grow little babies, which is amazing. Can you tell that I like succulents? My family's been telling me to do this for a while because they see how happy I am. They're like, how do you do this? You should sell your succulents or make YouTube videos about it. So, I'm finally doing it. Okay, I messed this one up. I'm so sorry, plant. But it's okay because shit happens. And succulents are one of the best plants to experiment with. So if you want to like learn, okay, so this is a perfect example. It already has, I'm so sorry about my filming, guys, but there's already a little root on it. So I bet that this baby's gonna grow faster. I have this whole little thing ready for you to show you guys. And I wish I knew the name of this plant. Sorry, but I don't. Okay, this one's a little harder to get off. All right, I'm gonna leave, oh, it's already like growing outside. I'm gonna leave this alone. I'm gonna put it back in there, and I'm actually gonna make a new arrangement. This was just kind of like to make sure that they could root in here before I put them all back together, but I want to probably make some more videos about just replanting like my arrangements and things like that. So this is how we went from here. So I know it doesn't look super beautiful. That's why I like have some stems like in other things, you know? But it doesn't look super beautiful anymore, but it's going to create more beauty and abundance. So this is where we're at with these guys. These are probably gonna grow back. Once these leaves mature more, maybe, you know, I'll take them off. So this is where we got with it. This is where we got. So we have this beautiful tray of 2 new plants to plant and all the potential babies. So I'm gonna let this dry over for a few days and just kind of leave it alone. And then I'm going to add them to this tray and kind of rearrange it. And then you can begin spraying. Because the new babies, when you propagate from the leaves, are taking in the nutrients from the leaf, I have heard that it's recommended to like water it like a day or two before you take the leaves off. I sprayed it like yesterday so that it has a better chance, but don't worry guys, like I've told you, like miracles happen. You don't need to think too much with these things because yeah, they're just highly resilient plants. So once these are done, I'll put them in my tray and just add them to the collection and begin watering them. And then pretty quickly, they're going to start sprouting. Now this same plant, I'm gonna show you the stages because it just worked out that way. So at first you'll see just these kind of weird looking roots in the dirt. And then that means that it's beginning or it's taking up the nutrients and it's kind of rooting in the soil. And then in a second stage, you'll see, I'm gonna try to find one that's like a new one when they're really babies for you. But I got different ones. Okay, this is like a perfect one. Babies, they just kind of come out like a little tiny circle. This is a different kind of plant. And each one are totally different. And then as they get bigger, you're gonna see it actually create like a little plant. Now you just kind of let it, you don't want to try to pull off the leaf. You want to just like leave it until it totally dries out. And a lot of times they just naturally fall off, so you don't need to do too much maintenance with it. Or if it gets really dry and it just makes sense, you can kind of really lightly pull it off. And then this is an example where the leaf came off and it's already like a little plant. So it's a tiny little baby. And then you can repot it, or you can leave it in the tray, it just depends. And yeah, so that is like really basics. There's also other ways to propagate, but I wanted to make this one simple and yeah, and show you some things. So this plant, for example, I don't want to mess up the roots. This plant, for example, all the other leaves have died. I had like 20 of them or something like that, but this was the only one that began to sprout. And also sometimes it's not dying, because if the leaf is starting to dry out, like don't get worried about it, because it's just like taking the nutrients, so don't worry about it. So for example, it's why I'm saying like don't worry if some die, because it's just part of the process. Survival of the fittest. I'm just kidding. Okay, so what else? There's other really beautiful ones. And then sometimes they'll just dry out, and then you can just leave them right in there. So for example, okay, this is one. This is a good one, it's big. So this is from the same plant. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing right now. From the same plant, I'm gonna pull a couple different ones out. Okay, from the same plant. Some of them have multiple, and some of them just have one. They're so cute, look at them. And then when they begin to dry out, for example, they're gonna look like this. See how it's drying out, and it's just gonna naturally fall off, or I could pull it off. But that's what it looks like. And then they're in this beautiful arrangement, and they can just naturally root in, which other ones? But what I love is they're all just so different. They all just have such this completely different way of like, so this is a different kind of plant. This is a different plant. Oh my God, so cute. And some of them will just like root and never grow. So for example, I found this one in the dark, like I was like, oh my God, and it has not gone past this stage, so that's cool. But other ones will, and they'll get bigger, and then you have new plants from them. So anyway, I just love the propagation process. This is another really beautiful one. I'm just finding so much joy in it, and I hope that this little guide has helped you or inspired you to do more. This one's pretty epic. It's not from my collection, I ordered it, but thought that was pretty cool. So I hope that my little tutorial has helped you if you are, you know, just starting to propagate, if you didn't even know about it and you're like, oh my God, now I can make more babies for my plants. Yeah, it's amazing. So now I already had a big collection, and I have a hard time when I see succulents out because I just want to buy them. It's like they're like, save me, take me home and take care of me, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I've gotten them from all sorts of places. Like I've picked them up, and I've also ordered them from California, that kind of thing. I love succulents so much, and it's going to be sort of a nightmare moving with all of them, and that's why I'm going to take some time and like put my arrangements together and really kind of clean things up. This was a recent one from the shipment from California. This was also one that I just wanted to put in real quick, so I will be rearranging it, but my mom sent me these as a gift. Aren't they so beautiful? And yeah, so I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Please leave a like if this was helpful. I would love to hear about your experience with succulents, and I would love to share more with you guys. So thank you so much for joining me today, and yeah, have a beautiful day and enjoy your process. Good luck with propagation. Lots of love.